everybody, my name is Tanya. Welcome to my Volume 2 discussion of War and Peace. The War and Peace Readalong was organised by Rince here at Rincey Reads and Jenny at Adultish Books. Links to their channels and their videos about War and Peace down in the description. My reading of Volume 2 was very, very disrupted in that after being on track for Volume 1 for the original timeline, I fell sick, spent pretty much the entire of the next week in bed, unable to concentrate on anything, let alone War and Peace, because let me tell you, War and Peace isn't really the most appropriate sickbed book. Even when I was starting to concentrate on things, I couldn't pick it up. So basically after the extension of the time frame, I lost all of that by not reading anything the entire next week. And so I've been feeling very behind this last week, hoping that I could get some really good reading days in and get to the end, and I did. I finished. Goodreads lists this as 47% through, so feeling a good achievement on that. So the first thing I want to say is I take it all back. I take it all back about the mustache. Very soon into Volume 2, obviously, Elizaveta dies in childbirth, and I really should have seen it coming. It was definitely foreshadowed a lot. It was pretty obvious, I think, looking back, but I wasn't necessarily expecting it to happen. So after making fun of poor Elizaveta's mustache in my last video, when I finally got to picking this up and she died so quickly, I felt bad. So I'm sorry, I take it all back about the mustache. But Tolstoy's the one who started. He's the one who mentioned the mustache every time she was mentioned, so it's not my fault. So that opens things up for Prince Andrei in that he's not married anymore. I spoke about last time being surprised that he was married and that Pierre was married, in terms of the blurb and the fact that they're both intrigued with Natasha. I was quite surprised actually at the genuine kind of emotion that he showed at her death. From Volume 1 I thought that it wasn't a very happy marriage. There seemed to be quite a lot of conflict there, so was surprised just how much genuine emotion he seemed to show upon her dying. Likewise, Pierre's happy marriage didn't last very long. It wasn't very far into Volume 2 that we had the whole duel and accusing her of having been unfaithful. There are a couple of things that I was expecting to be expanded on, the way we left Volume 1, that really didn't go anywhere. One was the fact that we left Prince Andrei at the end of Volume 1 captured by Napoleon, injured and not expected to survive. Obviously, given the blurb, he was going to survive, but I wondered how he was going to get home after being captured by the enemy, and also the fact that he, in quite a few scenes, referred to Napoleon as his hero or his idol. So I expected something to come of that, but he obviously just turns up suddenly at his father's place while Elizaveta's in labour, and arrives just in time to see her before she passes away. But it was never mentioned after then. He's just turned up, he's back, and not dealt with, so I thought that was something that was going to go somewhere, but obviously not. The other thing that seemed to be shaping up to going somewhere was the flirtation between Anatole and Mademoiselle Bourienne when he went courting Marie and she refused him. I took that to be because she seemed to like him so much and Anatole seemed to like her. I expected something more to come of that, but obviously that scene just was to illustrate Anatole's character and set him up as that real rogue for what's to come. And moving on to Natasha, we're finally getting some more of her. I was really surprised, like I said in my first video, that she was only 13 at the start of this, given that she seems to be the main romantic lead on the back, and that we didn't get to see all that much of her. So in Volume 2 she's now 16 and we're finally getting to see some more of her and develop more of her personality, and to be honest, she's a bit of an idiot. And I'm really enjoying reading about her, but she is coming across to me at the moment as a bit of an airhead. She likes to be admired. We've got kind of multiple cases of when she was younger, she was in love with Boris, but he's gone off to war and she's forgotten about him. Then Denisov proposes, she refuses him. Then Boris comes calling again and that's all inflamed again, and oh no, I don't want to marry him, so that's kind of put pay to. And then Prince Andre comes on the scene. So in this one now we're finally getting some interaction between Natasha, Prince Andre and Pierre. We're getting them all in the same place. To me she appears really flighty, quite overly emotional and easily swayed by that. We get the scenes where she's talking about herself in third person and oh she's so lovely and oh she's wonderful, and she's kind of got a high opinion of herself. And so of course with all her toing and froing, when she becomes engaged to Prince Andre, secretly-ish, but when she becomes engaged to Prince Andre, I was expecting something to come and ruin it. Yes. And of course into that charming rogue Anatole. That whole drama, and you're watching it going, oh god, she's going to make that mistake. Honestly, I still have no idea where this is going to go, what's going to happen next. We've got, again, this whole blurb that kind of sets up this love triangle, and obviously Pierre is quite admiring of her, and there are lines in there saying that he thinks a bit too much of her for his, friend's fiancée, but she's ruined her relationship with Prince Andre. Both he and Pierre are aware of the foiled elopement, abduction, but obviously they're going to be intrigued to spite themselves, or she's going to have some kind of redemption, or I don't know, she's probably got a little bit more of growing up to do. I'm finding her quite immature, I guess, and she is still only 16, so that's understandable. Like I said, I'm really enjoying reading about her. She's adding some, good amusement now that the drunken shenanigans seem to have disappeared. But I'm really interested to see what happens next. Like I said, I can't tell you what's going to happen next. I don't know what's going to happen next, where this whole Natasha, Prince Andre, Pierre thing is going. If there is a love story in this, I don't know whether there's a love story in this, whether there is going to be a happy ever after for somebody, I'm not sure. But I'm still really, really enjoying this and really intrigued to see what happens next. So I'm looking forward to getting started on Volume 3, and I will see you in a fortnight for my Volume 3 discussion video. Let me know in the comments if you're participating in the read-along, and I'll see you next time.